These two women would acknowledge their strengths and their weaknesses, and they wouldn't hide them from one another. Friends, I'm here to tell you that there are people in your life that God has allowed to cross your paths because God ordained for those people to play a role in your life. But if you are not strong enough in yourself that when the lean years come upon you and your storyline that you've envisioned for yourself in your life could change, your husband transitions and you don't have the safety that you once thought you would have, and you're older, you've gotten accustomed to things and you're used to that person and they're no longer here, and you're an older woman like Naomi, or you're like Ruth and you've become accustomed to the environment. You have a whole new family and you're in love with the family structure, and the rug is pulled from up under that, and you're still young and you're still beautiful. If you're not able to face the truth of you, what your heart is telling you to do, you will quiet your heart and leave with ego, right out of environments that God established for you to be in. There are many of us in life that do this, whether they're friendships, whether they're family relationships. The only reason Ruth and Naomi were able to weather the storm together was because they were both mature within themselves. They were mature. And all along the process of knowing one another and knowing themselves, they were able to value having one another around. There was value that Ruth saw in Naomi, and there was value that Naomi saw in Ruth. And that value, coupled with their own level of self-worth and knowing, allowed them to make executive decisions and bet on one another. There was a common mindset in which they could literally conquer the world. Literally, they conquered the world. How do I know this? When Boaz would meet Ruth, they would have a son, and that son would be the line of Jesse. The Davidic line would come through Boaz and Ruth. The line that would legitimately conquer the world. Legitimately. The spirit of the man that came from this line had a consistent level of a consistent characteristic. They were capable. Not all of them. But those that were. Your Davids, your Solomons, your Yeshuas, your Jesuses. They were capable. And they all sprang forth from the intermingling of Ruth and Boaz. Friend. But it could not have come together. It would not have ever happened had there not been a Naomi. Naomi was the introduction. And this is my point. There are many of you that God has put together but because you were not mature enough within yourself. You can't face you. You can't stand to see somebody else standing in a certain thing. It makes you feel less than. And instead of you owning that, or even coming to your brethren or your sister and speaking to them your struggles of it, you feel seen. And so you destroy the relationship. And you get nowhere. 20 years later, you're still doing the same thing. You still got the desire to do it because that's that desire that God put in you. Like I said, when we look at Samson, he was born a mighty man. He was a mighty man. He was mighty in the capacity in which he could be mighty. But he didn't capture the fullness of it because his environment that he was raised in thwarted it. It is the same way with many of you in your relationships. Your immaturity has robbed you of the experiences that God has ordained for you before you were even brought into the world of light. Yet you still have the desire. You still want to go out. You still feel like it's hope in getting it, even though you've done nothing to embark upon it. Why? Why haven't you done anything? Because you were supposed to do that thing with that, as a group with that other person. It wasn't for you to spearhead. It was for you to enhance. Yet you didn't foster the relationship. So you have nothing to enhance. But you have the longing in you. You know it's in you. You know your strengths. You just have no place to land them. You just have no place to implement them. Naomi and Ruth, two women